Welcome back to Giant Monster Games. I'm Adrian, and today we are playing our super budget Aristocrats deck. We are actually on the play, so what do we think of this? We have a couple of different we have a sack engine, we have a blood artist, we have two blood artists, plus a Zulaport Cutthroat. I think we are going to keep this hand and see what our opponent does, and we're going to be off to a medium start. I think we'll actually throw down either Blood Artist or Zulaport Cutthroat right away, because I think if we throw down Bloodthrone Vampire, they're actually going to blow it away really quick, rather than us potentially being able to get a little bit of value off of Bloodthrone Vampire. So let's wait for our opponent, see what they have to do, and then we will be off and running. Let's throw out a swamp, pass the turn to our opponent. We don't have anything else to do on our turn, because we don't have a 1-drop. We don't have very many 1-drops in this deck, actually, right away. I think we actually only have one 1-drop, or 4 copies of a single 1-drop. That's Doomed Traveler. Always nice to play him, but most of our deck is 2-drops, so that's the thing. Our opponent plays a Adakar Wastes, and Reassembling Skeleton. That is also a very, very good card for us to be drawing. So, yeah, let's throw out our Bloodthrone Vampire. Our Blood Artist, not our Bloodthrone Vampire. Blood, you know, that's the blood cards. So we're going to throw out Blood Artist, pass it to our opponent's turn. We don't have any response. He's not countering it because he is playing a white-blue deck, which means he may be playing a little bit of a counter deck, which is going to give us some problems. Fingers crossed. We should be able to get around it, but we're going to see how that pans out for us. Ideally, though, we'll be able to keep bouncing Reassembling Skeleton out of our graveyard. Speaking of graveyards, should do that. I always forget. And it is our opponent's main phase. What is he doing? Him having a land that is going to give him pain is actually going to help us out quite a bit, because our plan isn't really to win by overrunning with creatures, it's really by doing a little bit of damage. And that's curious. Okay, well, I'm not really 100% sure what our opponent is playing here. This is not a combination you commonly see. Hey, sweet, another land. And what do I think? I think we're going to throw down the other vampire. We're going to leave up a plains, so our opponent thinks, hey, maybe, just maybe he has a Path of Exile. We obviously know we don't have any Path of Exile in this deck because we're playing super budget, but our opponent doesn't know that. And is he going to remand it? What is he doing? I'm assuming it's going to be Mana Leak. Sorry, not remand. It could have been remand, actually. Mana Leak, we can't pay for that, so no. We can't pay for that. We should have actually played the Blood Artist. That's a bad call on my part. Played another one, because then he would have potentially countered that, and we wouldn't have lost our single sacrifice engine. So that's rough. We're not out of the game yet, though. If we get another sacrifice engine, we can actually, hopefully, be doing the sacrifice, Reassembling Skeleton, bring him back, sacrifice him, bring him back, sacrifice him, bring him back, and just get a whole bunch of damage with Blood Artist and Zulaport Cutthroat. So let's see what our opponent does. He is actually going to play something, it looks like a Lightning Bolt, and it is on our Blood Artist, so he is going to obviously lose some life, and we're going to gain a little bit of life. Not much, but it is a little bit. And he's going to pass it to our turn, and I think, we're not going to use our Rally the Ancestors yet. Rally the Ancestors will be a late game for us. Rally the Ancestors is really good, but it's never a card we want to see in our opening hand. And another Plains. Well, that means we can play two things. So, what do we think? Let's throw out the Blood Artist right away. See if our opponent decides to counter this. If he does, we'll probably play Zulaport Cutthroat. So, it looks like another, so it's a remand this time. So let's not give him any more information, and let's just actually play Blood Artist again. We'll just replay it. And so now it's on the table. Pass to our opponent. We should have actually played Zulaport Cutthroat, if I was thinking. I think I should have probably played Zulaport Cutthroat the first card, because he's a 1-1, and we could have actually swung in for a little bit of damage. Obviously, I didn't know that's what we were dealing with, is a deck that isn't going to need a lot of creatures, because it's more of a control deck. But that is kind of the way the game goes. I don't always play the right cards. And we are just getting all of the lands. At this point, do I want to play that land, or do I want to hold on to it? I'm going to hold on to it, pretend that it's something else. And let's play the Reassembling Skeleton, so if he does counter it, we can just play it out of our graveyard, which I think will be a better plan, so he does not counter it. So that question is, do we play the Zulaport Cutthroat then? I think we do. See if our opponent has any response. He doesn't counter that either. Okay. And let's ship it to our opponent's turn. He may be running low on, well, 2 counters in an opening hand is pretty normal. And he hasn't been drawing a ton of stuff, so it's not like he's getting more gas to keep countering. Because he also has dropped 4 lands. He's at 4 consecutive land drops, which means he's probably drawn a bunch of lands. I mean, we've also drawn lands, but obviously we're just holding on to it because we want our opponent to think that we have something more in our hand than we actually do. And a Glacial Fortress. More lands. I mean, he is drawing all of the lands right now. That's actually going to be really handy for us once we get into the late game here. So, or now that we're going into the late game. And he is passing the turn back. We have the Aristocrat. So I'm not going to chance not being outplayed. So I'm going to throw the Plains down, and then we're going to play the Aristocrat. So if he does mana leak it, we can just pay for it. Because that is completely an option at this point that he may mana leak it. He could also Cryptic it if he has a Cryptic command in his hand. He has more than enough mana to play that. And he is playing colors that says Cryptic is a potential card. He doesn't. Okay, well that's a thing. So, okay, let's go to combat. Swing with these 2 guys. And, yeah. Okay, well, this looks like we are on the up and up here. And at the end of our opponent's turn, we are going to probably sack and grab the Reassembling Skeleton. We have enough mana to pull it out of our graveyard, so we'll do some damage, gain some life, do the stuff, do all the synergies, because that is what Aristocrats is all about, is playing with a whole bunch of interesting synergies in a deck, rather than really being all about aggro or being all about control. It's just a synergy-heavy deck. Okay, so let's sacrifice a Reassembling Skeleton, triggering these 2. Yes, yes, yes. Always choosing our opponent. And, yep. And actually, we could actually bring our Reassembling Skeleton back right now and then resack him again? No, might as well not resack him. We can actually swing it for 1 damage. And sure, let's do Protection Red. Pro Red. And go to our turn. We draw Lingering Souls, which is good, actually, for us. That's very good for us. Go to combat. Beginning of combat. Does our opponent do anything? We will see. And looks like our opponent is not. So 1, 2, 3 attack. Here we go. All of the people. Swinging in for 4 damage. Plus we're going to do another couple damage from Reassembling Skeletons. Plus Lingering Souls. Yeah, we are putting our opponent in a very difficult situation. What are they going to do? I don't know at this point. But we are going to play a Lingering Souls. Yes. Lingering Souls. Getting 2 spirits onto the table. And I think we're going to do the same thing we did last time, where we're going to wait for their turn and then do the... Oh, what is he doing? He is going to Lightning Helix what? He's Lightning Helixing our face. Okay. That's okay. I'm not too concerned about that. Because we can sacrifice a bunch of stuff, make him lose a bunch of life, which is going to be our game plan. I'm not sure, does our opponent actually have any plans right now? More land. Wow, he is drawing all of the land, which is actually really good for us. I mean, he's he's playing lands that are more expensive than our entire deck. I mean, so that's a kind of a funny thing. I always love seeing that when you see just a set of lands that are like this much lands. These lands are worth 3 times as much as our deck. And he is playing what? Kikijiki Mirror Breaker. Yes. He can come into play. We're not obviously countering it. Does he have a response? What is he thinking? So end step. Yep, sacking the Reassembling Skeletons. Trigger. Obviously choosing our opponent. Always yield. And sure, pro red. Why not? And then Reassembling Skeletons can come back. Because why not? And we're not gonna pop it yet. We're gonna let our opponent have to deal with some stuff. Tidehollow Scholar. So here's the question. We have yeah, I think we can do this. So let's go to combat. This is gonna be the plan. So we're gonna go to combat. We are going to Our opponent's almost completely tapped out. He has like a Remand that he could possibly cast. So we could have played Tide Hollow Scholar. Yeah, nah, we're not going to do it. And let's go this way. So he either has to block the Catherine or take damage from the skeleton. And if he does block Catherine, we'll actually probably sack the skeleton, actually. So I'm not sure why. I'm swinging in just for causality rather than for any real reason. See if our opponent decides to do anything. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. Plus, we're going to sack the rest of our creatures off and kill him. He doesn't know. Well, I mean, he obviously knows. We have Lingering Souls in the graveyard, so we can play that for an additional 2. Goes to blocks. Does he block? He blocks Catherine. Or not. Keep calling her Catherine. Cartel Aristocrats. It's just because it's a female on there. It's a lady, and I'm like, oh, her name must be Catherine, because Cartel and Catherine looks very similar to me. Let's sacrifice you. And you. Always going to choose our opponent, make them lose a little bit of life, and we're going to get pro-red on the Cartel Aristocrat, which will then kill his Kiki-Jiki unless he is about to prevent the nuclear damage that will be dealt to target legendary creature. That's fine by us. I'm not really too concerned about that. I don't think it saves him, though. I think he still loses. And pro-red. So we don't lose our guy, or lady, I should say. And then we just go to Sacrifice Town. So we play the skeleton. Sacrifice the skeleton. Choosing our opponent. And we'll give her pro-white, so then our opponent can't do anything else fancy. And then I guess we just get rid of the tokens. I don't see why not. We just kill off more stuff. So bam bam, take some damage. And let's go pro-blue. Pro-blue. Yeah. And we'll grab the last token here. Goodbye. And here you go, opponent. You have now lost the first match. And we're almost at 30 life. Look at that. We're just gaining so much life from this. Okay, let's go to sideboard. We are playing against a blue-red-white. We didn't see... look at this. Look at this. Nice big stack of cards here. This is not at all what I want it to look like. Which is fine. Anyways, I do... What do I think? What do I think? Hold on. Can I do the... I don't know. Anyhow, I'm going to figure this out later. Anyways, today, though, for the thing, Oh. I totally forgot to put in a bunch of my sideboard. That's neat. Is there anything in our sideboard that I would have needed? Sun Droplet is not necessarily something I needed, which is not in here right now. Disenchant, also not needed. I think the things we do potentially need is Duress, because I'd rather kill off some potential counter spells. And we can take out... what do we think? Do I take out one of my Aristocrats? Yeah, we're going to go down to a single Aristocrat. She's nice, but I don't think she's going to be that super handy. And we're going to go down 2 Doom Travelers. They are also handy, but I don't think they're going to be as handy as a couple Duresses. And let's see what this next game brings to the table. We are playing again. We're playing second, so we're actually on the draw this time. I feel like I'm not on my A game today, if you haven't noticed. And what do we think of this opening hand? It is a single land hand. We cannot keep this at all. We would need another land. We don't have anything. We have nothing in here. This is not not even close to keepable. This is also not close to keepable. Well, it's a little bit closer to keepable. We need black, like really need black. But it gives us, yeah, not amazing. But we are going to keep this because we need a black land. But going down is more risky than drawing into it. So you are going to go on the bottom because we are hoping to draw into that land. We're on the draw, so we do have a potential chance of drawing into it. That is not it, which is okay. We have an entire another turn to draw into specifically a black land. So, I mean, what's that? I don't know what that is percentage-wise, but it's not overly high, but it's not overly low as well when we have lots of lands in this deck. So, it shouldn't be that big a problem. Fingers crossed. That's what we're doing. crossing our fingers and hoping to not be annihilated by our opponent. We draw planes, which is not quite what we were looking for. We need black, but we can just pass the turn to our opponent. This is actually not good for us. He's obviously playing a combo deck because we saw Kiki Jiki, which, oh, why didn't I bring in... totally should have brought in... What's it called? Lost Legacy. What I should have brought in. Oh well. I can always do that next turn. And Doomblade also not what we want. We are unfortunately in a bad spot. I feel like Ted's Boros Blink versus Goblins game all over again. Except he, I think, had one land. Or no, we had no land. He had no land for 3 turns, which was insane. But somehow I managed to win that match, I think. So, Lingering Souls. And we're going to discard more. So what are we going to discard? We're actually going to discard the Lingering Souls. Oh, cancel that saying, I just want to play it. We're actually going to discard the Lingering Souls because we could actually play it out of our graveyard, I think. So rough. It's not good at all. Okay, well, I guess our opponent playing Remand on us would be really painful right now because we don't have the mana to, or we don't have the, like, hand capacity. Oh, God. Okay, skipping to our end step, we're going to throw away the Vampire. Yeah. Lightning bolt our face, please. Please do that. Please just keep bolting our face. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we will draw into something that is a land-shaped. And there it is. That's what we're looking for. So, what do? We could obviously play Cutthroat. We could play our Bloodthrone Vampire. We could also play Lingering Souls. Or we could play Catherine. Or we could duress our opponent. I think duress is actually the better bet out of all this because he obviously hasn't played any counterspells, so this would just kind of force him to get rid of a counterspell without us potentially losing our game plan. So he's going to obviously have to Remand, Mana Leak, something it. Otherwise, we're going to pull out one of his cards out of his hand, which is not obviously what he wants. But I'd rather do that rather than us play something and then lose pieces of our synergy. So, yeah, so Remand goes back to our hand, which is fine. Pass it to our opponent. We're not at 8 cards yet. We can obviously play that again next turn and just get him to keep wasting some counter spells. And what is he playing? Snapcaster Mage, targeting Lightning Bolt, obviously, to blast our face. So, and there you go. That's another reason for us of another reason that we should not have played one of our potential synergy pieces, because Snapcaster Mage probably just would have blown it up with a Lightning Bolt. He's not in any hurry, so why would he want to destroy stuff right now? And what it is our opponent's turn. And he is going to swing in for 2. We draw another swamp. It is our turn. So now, what do we think? We could again duress, and then either Bloodthrone, or we could... Yeah, let's duress just to pull more counterspells out of his hand. Because if we play anything else, again, he's sitting on 5 cards. Gotta have some more counterspells in his hand, so this will just kind of make sure that we get rid of a little stuff, and then we can hopefully play Catherine, I think is what we're going to do. Yeah, that's my assumption. So a red. There is no counterspells in red. There's no counterspells in red or white either. But there is a Lightning Helix, so he doesn't have any counterspells, which is good for us to know. We will grab something out of his hand, though. Or is he going to play more stuff? He's going to play another Lightning Bolt or something? He is Lightning Helixing again. Wow, that is a rough... This is rough for us. We really need to get... So, Spell Snare, Path to Exile. Spell Snare is going to be really hard because it literally counters absolutely everything that we have. And Path is actually not going to be that bad for us. So if we play what? We could play Lingering. We could play Lingering Souls, which give us 2 tokens. So let's do that. Yeah, we're gonna do Lingering Souls, and then we're gonna play Catherine or Cartel Aristocrat. Catherine, the Cartel Aristocrat. That's what her name's gonna be from now on. We're gonna play it next turn, so then we can actually sack a Spirit if he tries to path it, which is going to be easier for us, because we actually don't want stuff going to our graveyard, realistically. That's not very good for us. And we are going to skip to our opponent's turn. If he attacks him with Snapcaster Mage, we'll probably just chump block and kill it, because I'd rather not keep taking a ton of damage. And there's his land that he had in his hand. So he has one card we don't know, and we know he has a Path to Exile. He's clearly not going to use the Path on a Spirit token. That's a really big waste of his time. We do have a Zulaport Cutthroat as well, so that will be very handy down the road. Again, he could Path it. So, let's see, does he attack in? He probably won't attack in. No, he's going to attack in. Oh, neat. Okay, well, that's fun. I'll just chump block with a guy, and you can lose your Snapcaster Mage. That's completely fine by me. I am okay with that. You know, Snapcaster Mage being approximately 2 to 3 times more expensive than our entire deck. And he's going to Path the Spear token. What? Why would you do this? He clearly knows that we have pieces in our deck that are like designed to synergize with stuff. And yet he's pathing a token? I'm not going to pretend that I know what his logic is there. But we'll go for it, I guess. Thank you. That's weird, but okay. That's fine by me. Going to our turn, on the other hand, we do have a Rally. That's interesting. Rally the Ancestors may help us finish this game off. So let's start out by playing the Cartel. See, not Catherine, Cartel. I got it right this time. It's amazing, isn't it? And if he has a counterspell of some sort, that's going to suck for us. But if he has Mana Leak, obviously we have 3 mana up, we can actually still cast it. Which will be fine. I probably should have cast this actually after combat. I should have just went to combat, swung for 1. Would have been a good plan. Didn't do it. It's okay. World's not ending. And our opponent is thinking long and hard if he needs to or wants to counter this. In truth, I mean, it doesn't really make any difference to us, because obviously we have stuff and things. And what do I think next? I think we just Lingering Souls out of our graveyard. I think that's the best plan. Get a couple more Spirit tokens, so we have more potential targets that are not something like that we want to... Because obviously we don't want to sacrifice Bloodthrone Vampire or Zulaport Cutthroat to Cartel Aristocrat. But Spirit tokens are okay to sacrifice. Obviously they're not the best because they are evasion, and they can usually get in for small amounts of damage, which helps us get closer to the end of the game. But, yeah. Okay. Go for combat, swing for 1 damage, and then we will pass it to our opponent's turn, see what they have to say. They say, what do I do in this situation? It's going to be very hard for our opponent to actually kill our Cartel at this point, because we have 3 targets that we can actually prevent, or give it protection. So, I mean, if he swings in with his Snapcaster Mage, we could obviously chump block it again with a Spirit, and hopefully he'll Path to Exile it again, because that's such a waste. Will he? I don't think he's going to attack. He is going to attack. Okay, well, if you feel the need to do that, I will just block with a Spirit. And are you going to Path it? Come on, please Path the Spirit token. Make my life very, very easy. As in getting more land, which means I can do more stuff. And he is actually Path to Exiling the Spirit token. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That is not an okay idea. That is like up there in the this is one of the worst things you can do, is Path to Exile Spirit tokens in this case. I'm not going to pretend that I know what my opponent is doing. I'm just really not going to pretend. Okay, so we don't know what our opponent is doing. Our opponent apparently is clueless in this grand scheme of things. We can get in a bunch of damage with Zealous Procession also this turn, which may be interesting. What do I think? Zulaport Cutthroat always obviously wants to come onto the table. Same with Bloodthrone Vampire. And same with Lingering Souls. So why don't we go to combat? We're going to actually use Zealous Persecution. I think it's called, I said it, Zealous Procession. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, we're going to attack with everything. Attack with all the creatures. And then we are going to start putting stuff down in the order that we want our opponent to try and think that he would want to counter stuff. So what is our opponent doing? What is our opponent doing? He's not going to do anything. He's going to take a little bit of 4 damage. Nothing too crazy. We are going to play Bloodthrone Vampire first. Bloodthrone Vampire. Enter the battlefield. Unless our opponents decide he has something to counter with. Nope. Followed up by Zulaport Cutthroat. Followed up by Lingering Souls. Souls that linger around. And then we're going to pass it to our opponent's turn. If our opponent does not have a response next turn, we will probably just kill our opponent. Largely because we can Zealous Persecution once we swing in with everything, and then Rally the Ancestors to bring everything back and sack a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't see how our opponent actually doesn't not die in this situation. And is he going to attack? I don't know why he would attack. I'm not really sure what our opponent is playing here, by the way, as well. It seems better to me to go either blue-white control or something else with red, but this combination doesn't seem to really work because you're not really being a burn deck, which is what he's trying to do, but you're not really a control deck at the same time because in a burn deck you don't want to ever be casting stuff that targets your opponent's creatures. So that's kind of a thing. And let's go to combat. Swing in with absolutely everything. Swing in with all creatures. Let our opponent... actually, we're not even going to give our opponent the ability to block. We're just going to Zealous Persecution and kill his Snapcaster Mage before he even can block anything, plus which will give ourselves a bunch of bonus stuff. By bonus stuff, I mean more... Be what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. That is going to be game, I think, unless our opponent has some special answer, which I'm assuming he does not. At this point, I don't know what our opponent could potentially have, but we can actually just sacrifice a couple things. Do I do that? I totally do that. Why not? So, sacrifice the Throne of the Vampire, always yield. So that's going to give our opponent, or make our opponent go down by 1. And we have enough to rally the Ancestors if we need to. I don't think we're going to need to, mind you, but you never know. So our opponent, I think, may be realizing at this exact moment that, wait, he could literally just do this and sack absolutely everything on his table, which is what we're about to do. Let's go pro-red. I don't think he has red in his hand, otherwise he probably would have played it. And let's go this way as well. Sacrifice another creature. Spirit token. Yep. And pro white, just because. And here we go, last spirit token. And that is us winning the match. Look at that. So we went 2-0 against blue-white-red control. I'm not even really sure what our opponent was playing here. Anyways, until next time, I'm Adrian. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. And until next time, don't forget to game like a giant monster.